Hi, I'm Kat, marketer turned brand storyteller.
And I'm Candice, educator turned entrepreneur.
And you're listening to
Not Nice, Clever.
We're two introverts who speak on stages around the country and work with top personal brands who also unapologetically require 24 to 48 hours of recovery time on the couch in our favorite sweats. All Netflix and no chill.
And to be clear, we're not quiet or nice. Together, we're redefining what it means to be an introvert who means business. It's time to show up and show off. Are you in?
In today's mini episode of Not Nice Clever, we are answering a question that was recently asked by one of our Clever crew, Jose, out of the Phoenix area. And he was asking about, should he do content in multiple languages? Because I was talking about an article by SmartBrief where it said that in a certain amount of years, the majority of the US is going to be minority white. And if you want to pave and build a business for success that lasts longer than just the next business cycle, you got to keep this in mind. So we had a really good conversation in the DMs, but when I brought this up with Candice, she was saying that she's also had clients ask, should we do content in multiple languages? So we've got some spicy takes, but Candice, I want you to start it off here with where we're going to answer this question from the crew.
This is about always going back to knowing your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you enjoy working with? Who do you want to call in more of? And who have you worked with in the past? So just when you're thinking about who your people are, I want you to look at them and say, what language do they speak?
Mm-hmm.
Do they speak English? Do they speak Spanish? Do they speak Spanglish even? I don't know. You look at your people, whatever language it is, and decide, are those people in my target audience? And if so, then this is an easy answer. Yes. Speak the language of the people that you want to call in, that you want to work with. And I also have seen this be a challenge for people generationally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they grew up in the United States and in their immediate household, English was the dominant language, but their family members, their older generations, speak another language. That has been interesting for specifically maybe younger generations who predominantly speak English, or that was their first language and they learned
Spanish from their family members, or that their grandparents like native language.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so what they find is they have a challenge in deciding, okay, do I speak English because that was my first language, or do I speak Spanish because I know that people who are maybe buying homes are a little bit older and maybe they speak more Spanish, right? In that case, I would say be true to yourself. You should speak both languages then, because you work with people who speak Spanish and you speak English predominantly in your life. So then speak both, because that's going to make someone feel comfortable and confident using you as their real estate agent, because maybe your client speaks English in their everyday life predominantly, but they feel more comfortable doing business in Spanish because they get to avoid jargon and stuff like that, right? So if they know that you speak English and Spanish, that's going to make them feel more confident and choose you as an agent, because it might be more comfortable for them, like I said, just to do business in Spanish if that's their first language.
And the fear that we see crop up, it's so funny, this fear. We might need to do a mini on that idea in general, is that we've heard clients say, we're afraid of, they're concerned about making people feel left out. If they speak in one language or they suddenly shift it, and there's going to cause confusion and they're going to make people feel left out, and then maybe they're going to leave business on the table. It's funny. The same fear comes up when we tell them to niche down and be very specific with their target clientele. They want to go a mile wide and an inch deep. And we're like, no. Here's how I look at it. By you leaning into you and acknowledging that you do speak multiple languages, that there are stronger ways that you can connect with people, you're actually not going to make people feel left out. You're going to create such a strong, if you know type of community connection with your audience. Being able to speak somebody's language is so powerful in building a relationship with them, especially through the phone screen. I can't tell you how fucking humbling it was when I was in Japan last year, and I know 3 words in Japanese. I'm not. My mom is fluent. I am not. She did not teach me. I'm going to be learning, but just the lesson in empathy that I had to learn. I'm already an empathetic person, but that I feel opened me up in more ways, because I had to think about, stop and pause. How do I say that in Japanese? And when I would take the time to speak Japanese, even if the people around me knew a little bit of English to get by because I was in some touristy areas, they were appreciative of it. They were surprised. And I could tell that it went a long way that I was at least making an effort. I'm sure my accent was butchering their beautiful language, but it makes people feel included.
Mhm.
And there's nothing stopping you from speaking Spanish audio and having English subtitles. Most people watch videos without audio anyway. So if you're worried about that, just throw subtitles in, right? Like use technology to your advantage to reach your multilingual audience.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's about not being afraid of being yourself. And if yourself is someone who speaks multiple languages,
Mhm.
then be that person. That's okay. That's great. It's encouraged. I love that we're also thinking about pipelines, right? So, for
Mhm.
example, I have a client out of Orlando and she immigrated to the United States maybe about 15 years ago. And she has helped a lot of people move from her native country to the
Mhm.
United States. And like, why would you not? And they speak Spanish in her native country.
Mhm.
Why would you not use Spanish and continue to build that pipeline? Like, that is just smart business. But I think being around English speakers, they might not see the same pipeline that she does or see the opportunity or the possibility.
Yeah. One thing I will acknowledge is that when you are surrounded by people who don't look like you or who don't speak the language that you grew up with, that your grandparents speak, yes, that can feel daunting to be that person that does raise their hand and say, yes, I can speak both, or I walk in both worlds, or yes, this is where my parents were from, but this is where I'm raised, and this is the type of business I'm doing. Super daunting. Totally get that. We're going to go back to one of our credos here at Not Nice Clever is find people like me, find people like Candice who tell you you're not alone. It is okay. And honestly, it'll be even better for you when you lean into it.
Mm-hmm.
I've second guessed doing stuff like this and leaning into my background and just going all in. And a few months ago, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do it. It's such a huge part of me. How can I leave it out? That is not how I want to be. That when we talk about people afraid of like being seen as fake on social, I was starting to feel fake because I wasn't showcasing all of me and what lit me up. So,
Do you be you? That like, I feel like we say this in every episode, but it is
do we need
so
merchandise for it?
freaking true. It's so funny because I got a message this morning. This is a crazy day because a lot of amazing things have happened already.
Yeah.
But I got a message from a past client who was just like, Candice, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. And it's really because you made me realize like I can have confidence being on camera. I can go for my goals and all of this stuff, right? He just like wrote out the nicest message ever.
Mm.
And I wish I could read it to you, but it's a little personal. And I wrote back to him and now everyone's going to know. I was like, oh, you figured me out. Like Instagram coaching is all just a front so that I can actually teach you that being more of who you are is going to get you exactly what you want. And he was like, amen. Yes. Like that's it. And
Yes.
that's absolutely true. And I think that's the same for personal branding. It's the same for
Mm-hmm.
like showing up on Instagram or wherever it is that you want to do. Ultimately, I just want you to live the life that you want to live and know that you have tools at your disposal that can help you do that, including your mindset, including thinking abundantly instead of with scarcity.
If you guys are ever wondering why Candice and I became friends, why we have this podcast, why we still enjoy it, it's because we will always have that in common. That's all we want for you. The vehicle, the platform, the tools, that's different. That changes. But like that's the thing. That's what we want for you guys.
Thanks for joining us on Not Nice, Clever.
Remember to follow our podcast wherever you listen to audio.
And if you found today's episode valuable, please share it with your friends.
No gatekeeping here. Remember, we love to see our clever crew grow.
Signing off, you're not so nice, but oh so clever besties that mean business.
See you soon.